Steve Ray, 425. A week or so ago, I interviewed John Henry. Technically, it didn't go too well, so we've been a little bit delayed in getting that message out. John Henry is the chair of the Durham Regional Council and the chair of Durham Region, and that's an organization that is kind of like the umbrella municipality for all 8 municipalities in Durham Region, and they oversee things like police and public health. Things are changing. John is the second elected regional chair in Durham after Roger Anderson, and John will be the last elected chair because legislation has come in to remove the elected chair position, a position chosen by everybody in Durham, the same way that in each municipality, everybody in that municipality chooses the mayor. So John Henry has been selected as the chairman by the municipality, by the people in the municipality, and that will no longer happen. Going forward, the chair position will be chosen by the provincial government. John has a few things to say about that. And so, after a week's delay and some technical issues, John Henry, regional chair for Durham, right here on Exit 425. It's where we live. It's where we need police. It's where we need public health. It's where we need an elected chair. Today's guest at Exit 425.
In the main corridor of Exit 425.
Local politicians to connect with families.
What are some unique challenges?
Thanks very much, Steve, for having me.
Exit 425. It's where we live. John Henry, chair of the Durham Regional Council, welcome and thank you for meeting me here at Exit 425, although the background story behind this interview is lots of twisted technology, so you're kind of hosting me today.
Well, you know, it's important that we made it work. I think we've both got important stories to tell, and I'm just happy to be here. However we made it work, we just made it work. Kind of like regional government.
Since 2014, we've been electing our chair for regional council. Initially, that was Roger Anderson, and according to Bill 100, you may likely indeed be the last elected chair for now. Do you feel that this change is an improvement for the people living in Durham Region?
Well, it's not just Durham Region. There's 6 regions in the province of Ontario. Collectively, we represent well over 5 million people. But for Durham, you know, it breaks my heart. One of the greatest gifts we have in our democracy is the power of the vote. And people should have the choice who they want and who they don't want. This takes it away from the people. You know, regional government is a creature of the Ontario government. So in the end, the province has the authority to do what they're doing, but there's a difference between having the authority to do it and what's right. And in my case, you've heard me, you've maybe seen me in the media talking about that I'm opposed to Bill C-100. I think it takes that privilege away from our residents. If the premier of this province is elected in his riding, and then elected by the party, and then if the prime minister is elected in a riding and by his party, shouldn't the people of Durham Region and other regions have the ability to elect their leader? Mm-hmm. I'm not confident that an appointed chair will be accountable to the people. He'll be accountable to the people that appointed him.
So no.
No, absolutely not.
Is the really short answer to that one.
Well, it is, but you know, our democracy is built on trust and accountability. But I know as a chair, the work that needs to go into what we do to advance the region. We're the fastest growing region in the province of Ontario. You just have to Google us. We're the clean energy capital of Canada. We lead in agriculture, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and education. We've done a lot of really good things, but I've done that without strong mayor powers. We've done it through cooperation, working together at council. And we've had some really tough debates, but in the end, look what we've been able to do. I'm excited about the future in the region and all that we've been able to do as a council going forward. But I really can't express my disappointment enough in the direction the province went, taking the people's right to vote away. I've never heard of it being done before. At the regional level, they did it a little while ago in Toronto, but Yeah, it's a new day, and we won't be doing an interview next year because, as you're probably aware now, I will not be the one that will be appointed to this position. I'm not applying for it. I'm not soliciting for it. I know that I won't be the chosen one. My opposition to this has been heard, and I'm pretty sure that if I even was to apply for it, it wouldn't be accepted.
You've taken yourself out of running, eh? Okay.
Well, even if they change Bill C-100 back to the way it was, where you had to elect the regional chair, I am so passionate about this that I would remove myself from that as well. I cannot talk about the issue of the importance of the vote if it looks like I'm out for a job. I'm not out for a job. I would not decline. I would decline the opportunity to run in the election if Bill C-100 was reversed. So by not wanting the job, not applying for the job, and not willing to run again, now I'm taking out of the mix. So I can speak to the issue about Bill 100 and making sure that the residents of Durham know how undemocratic it is.
Awesome. That's an awesome emphasis on your position too, and I really appreciate that it's that thorough. Shifting over to Clarington specifically for a minute. In Clarington, the mayor has made it clear there are no plans to physically expand the incinerator, but is the volume of the material it handles likely to be increased?
So the incinerator was built for 160,000 tons. Currently, we're at 140,000. We have asked for increasing to the capacity that it was built for. But when you want to build more houses, and the plan is to double the population of the region of Durham in the not too distant future, the question comes up: what do you do about the waste? It's not a topic that you hear people talking about because building houses seems to capture all of the energy. But what has to happen is all the supportive services that the people rely upon. There's roads, there's police, there's paramedics, daycare, water and sewer. And then the topic of waste is not something that's really talked about. But you cannot build more homes if you don't have a way to deal with the waste. So there's no plans to increase the size, not by this council, and of course not by me. But we have put an ask in for that additional 20,000 tons.
Along with that, and you kind of maybe alluded to it a little bit, that strong chair powers, which are coming in with Bill 100 as well, could make that increase. So in that case, is the anaerobic digester in Clarington a dead issue, especially with those strong chair powers coming in?
So the issue is the anaerobic digester is a monetary issue. We did the work that we needed to do as a council to come up with a total. It's incredibly expensive. And at this time, it's not affordable. There are a lot of pressures on regional government, a lot created by the province. It's not just about policing, which you hear in the news, but it's about water and wastewater capacity as well. It's about the money that has to be invested into the systems that we already own and to expand those systems. So right now, that is not something we're talking about. We do send our green bin stuff out to be managed and through a digesting type system. I'm proud that we are doing that, but right now building one in Durham, however it would be nice, is not affordable.
That's good, and that's good information. If you could shape the future of Durham region, perhaps had the ultimate strong chair powers in every aspect, what would it look like? What would the ultimate dream Durham look like for you?
So first of all, if I did have strong chair powers, I would never use them. I was able to manage my time at the city of Oshawa as the mayor and here at the region as the chair to make sure we could get things done. My goal has always been one simple goal, and it's about building a community where my children would want to live in, would want to move back to. It's about them having the same life that my wife Kathy and I have had, and the opportunities to be successful. Durham is a place where dreams come true. And when you look at what we've been able to do as a willing host community and the talk around small modular reactors, That only happens through the leadership of what our team here at the region has done, what the leadership through Mayor Foster, Mayor Ash, and former Mayor Ryan have done to make Durham that willing host community that are bringing people in from around the world. I've entertained people from the president of Poland to U.S. senators and everything in between that have come to Durham to look at what we're doing here and what we're creating. And it's not just that. It's, we're home to Ontario Tech, Durham College, Trent University, and now the new story around Queen's University and the doctor's program in partnership with Lakeridge Health. It's the story about how we've invested in healthcare right in your community in Bowmanville, and how the region has stepped up to put $50 million into the reinvention and new build of the Bowmanville Hospital. It's about partnerships. So really building that community where, and I know it sounds silly, where my kids would come back here and have the same opportunity as my wife and I have had, is really the dream. Now, unfortunately, my kids won't be back. One's in the military and one is in Peterborough. But that doesn't mean that your kids don't want to come back and live that life. I have a job, getting a job in this community that pays a living wage, and being able to afford a home, raise a family, kick a soccer ball in a park. We've done all that. When somebody came to me and said, well, why don't you apply for the position of regional chair? And I said, because my resume is not on paper. Just look out your window. See what we've done collectively, not just in Clarington, but in all 8 municipalities. I'm really proud of the team and the work that we've done. More importantly, I'm proud of the people that come to work every day that do such a great job that you never see. But I'm here to tell their story today. But really, it's about the people that work in municipal government. I'm just telling their story today.
Some have suggested that instead of 8 municipalities, to have Durham Region as the municipality with one government for Durham instead of the 8 that we have. I'm sure you've given some thought to that at some point in time, either as a dispelling that argument or as a legitimate idea. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think the thing that we need to do is sit back and watch what the province is doing in Niagara region right now. The province has always had the power to do whatever they want to do as it relates to municipal government. In fact, they created regional government, and they created it to handle the big issues: water, sewer, policing, public health. There's a lot of things that the province could do. I had written Minister Flack in February on behalf of council to try to invite him here to Durham to meet with the mayors and myself to talk about how we could go forward. There's a really good conversation, Steve, here that should happen. And we need to talk about that. But it's hard. It's hard when, I will never get another appointment with the provincial government to have a conversation with anybody. And, I'm vocal because I'm passionate. I've always been issue-based. I'm not tied to a political party. I don't carry a card to anybody. And my arguments have always been at the direction of council. Removing the tolls on the 407, the 412, and the 418 are a great example of how we work together to do that. The question I pose is that if the new person that's in this job, the new chair, is supposed to be, quote, I'm going to quote the minister, Minister Flack, who says, in sync with the province, would they ever run those campaigns? All the work that we've done on the GO train and all the work we've done with the province, and now it's happening. It's expensive. Would the new chair go to the extent that we have, the hundreds of meetings that have taken place, the transit-oriented development concept that was built and designed by the region that is now being used by the province? The work we've done on the stations going forward and how all this could be paid for. And if you're not in a transit development area around the station, you will not be paying for this as a property tax owner. All that work was done by the staff here at the region of Durham, and now the province talks about it and celebrates it. But I'm really proud of the team here that did the work. And that's how we've been able to advance that. Now, I hope they continue on the schedule they are. And that we get it done sooner than later. If you want to improve people's lives, give them a faster way to get to work, but not just into Toronto. We have so many people that reverse commute to the city, to the region. It will scare you. And even for people that live in Pickering, jumping on the train and getting off in Oshawa and getting a bus to Ontario Tech, Durham College, or Trent, or even the Queen's campus makes sense. We have one of the finest public transportation systems in Ontario, where our on demand is second to none. Every resident in Durham region has access to transit through, if you're not on a regular route and you're in the rural area, you can go through on demand through an app on your phone or a phone number. Those are things that need to be celebrated and talked about. And in other communities, they are talking about, how does Durham do this stuff? We do it because we got amazing staff and a council that, for the most part, up until right now, has worked together.
Well, and it's an interesting region. I've referred to Clarington as being on the frontier of the eastern frontier of the GTA. And really, Durham has been that for so long, from the first time that developers moved into Pickering many years ago. And it's just continuing further east. And so the challenge that you and the mayors face here is, the urban rural challenge, right? And providing the same services and access to the rural people that the urban people are getting. And that's a real challenge. I've seen the difficulty of that in the school board. I went to school in Uxbridge, and my last year of working for the school board was at Brock High School in Clarington, and it's a different world than what's happening in schools down here. So it's a real challenge.
Yeah, well, it's also the demands on regional government are so much different. When you look at some of the roads, like Regional Road, Bowmanville, I call it Regional Road 57, but the Bowmanville Road. When you get outside of the boundaries of Bowmanville, that's a long road that needs to be plowed. And in the north, we deal with things that you would never dream of. We deal with water and sewer in a very different way. We run community wells in the north. Our wastewater is managed very differently. And then, you talk about agriculture. Durham feeds Ontario and parts of the world. If you go out for dinner tonight and you get an order of French fries, more than likely those potatoes came from a potato farm in Uxbridge. We're leaders in eggs, apples in Clarington. Clarington is the apple center of Canada. We need to celebrate and support that community as well. The people that feed us and, get up before the sun comes up and go to bed after the sun go down, that look after the livestock and the crops. There's a reason Durham wheat's called Durham wheat.
Yeah. And, having gone to school in Uxbridge and lived north of that, I know very well the contributions of our agricultural community. And I know the Harriman family is a big family in Durham agriculture, and I went to high school with them. So,
well, I sat beside Howie at Regional Council, but Howie's now, you look at the Harriman family, and with his son Garrett, the family continues. He's got some little ones now, and I hope to see that's what makes farming here so amazing, is that it's generational farming. And on that note, the other levels of government need to realize they need to make it easier for farmers to transition their lands to their children, so that the farmer that farmed and took all the risk can live that life of retirement, but not have to pay the taxes and stuff that's around that. They really need to look at agriculture from 10,000 feet down to find ways to make it work, and how you transition that family farm.
And to not have to sell their land in order to fund a retirement.
That's key.
That's a double-edged sword, right? Because then we're feeding fewer people, and we want to put more people in the region. So,
well, farmer's retirement is his land. And when people talk about, you've gotten rid of that parcel of land that used to be an orchard, or they used to farm on, or there used to be livestock, but that farmer's retirement was his land, because the system doesn't allow, there's no way for them to, on the good years, double or triple up on their RSP contributions, and on the bad years borrow back from their RSPs, so they're not having to borrow money from the bank. And there are ways to make it better, but the conversations in this country, not just in Durham region, we need to start looking from 10,000 feet down and say, what's gone wrong? When did it go wrong? And what's the pathway to fix it? And that's leads right into mental health addiction and homelessness. You know, when you and I were growing up, not that long ago, because both of us are just a little over 35.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, maybe in my case, maybe a little bit more. We didn't see the challenges we have today on the street. Now, when you go down in communities, and not just in Durham, but around this country, the problems are so great, but nobody, you know, we're as municipal government are putting Band-Aids on a problem that's across this country. And there needs to be leadership from the federal and provincial governments to say, okay, here is the plan. This is where we're going to go, and this is how we're going to fix it. And then you need to set a time limit on it and say, can you do this in 5 years? I believe in my heart you could. But you know, and I often say, if you can bring people together to have an auto summit on car theft, then how come there's never been a summit on mental health addiction and homelessness in this country?
It's will.
It's will. Yes, it is.
So many of these things are will because they can pull people together for everything, as you pointed out. So I'm conscious of the time, and so I'd just like to ask you a couple more things. You've already alluded to the fact that you don't have any formal partisan leanings. Provincial governments that you've had to work with as the chair of the Durham region and as the mayor of Oshawa, what are the characteristics of the governments that you've enjoyed working with the most?
Well, the fact that we've been able to work together on some issues, and we've gotten some really great things done. In my case, it's always been issue-based. It goes back to my first argument with the former Premier Wynne on stopping, when she was the Minister of Transportation, stopping the 407 at Simcoe Street. And then utilizing, you know, the powers to be, including Jim Flaherty, to get them to honor their commitment to the 115 and the campaign we had run. Similar to what we had done with the 407, 412, and 418. But on the other side, I've been able to work with the government, and in this January was an amazing story because we got almost $100 million from the federal government for some supportive housing and some other things. So it's been a challenge of trying to balance the work that I do and you know, council's direction to advocate with the other levels of government, sometimes very loudly, sometimes by a letter. Lately, I've been very loud and very passionate about the region's people's right to vote. So we've had some successes, we've had some challenges, but in the end, we've been able to advance the region and its needs. And, you know, like I said earlier, I'm not in this for me. I never have been. And, you know, my at the beginning of this, when I said, even if they change the rules, I wouldn't run, because I believe that my job is to advocate for the people of the region of Durham and their right to vote. Whether they vote for me or not is irrelevant.
Do municipal leaders fear reprisals? Wow, having a hard time with that word. Do they fear reprisals from challenging or questioning provincial directives? Municipalities are a creation of provincial governments in Canada. Do they get reminded of that?
So I have to balance my comments by what the reaction will be from the levels of government. I can tell you that I get reactions. I worry about, you know, on Bill C-100, you know, every time I speak, it angers somebody. That's not my fault. I believe it's a very bad bill. If I didn't believe in it, and if I didn't, you know, we've got a current survey on with our residents saying, do you believe in an elected chair? It's out there now. You can sign up and put your voice forward. But when somebody does something that I don't agree with, that council doesn't agree with, then sitting back and not doing anything doesn't support your community either. And there are things out there that people need to speak about. When I'm no longer the regional chair, I still have a voice. I'm still a resident of the region of Durham. I still have that ability to raise issues using media like yours. I'm not sure I would ever do a podcast, but I don't post on social media. I never have. You know, maybe I'll start to post some of the things that the public need to know that I know, where if I'm not in office, it can't bring repercussions back to our community.
My next question, actually, you've answered, because you've said that there's not a chance that you would you would go back to that position given the current environment. So, um, what does post-elected life look like for John Henry?
Well, first of all, I'm not finished, so I'm not done. And people will disagree with this, but I basically said that if you read and watch the interview, that they fired the current existing regional chairs that all have very excellent skill sets. Some were MPPs, some were MPs. I was mayor, and all the communities that we're in have been thriving. I'm not finished. My journey up the mountains still has lots of room. I haven't decided. There's opportunities politically if I choose. I can go back to the business community. I could become that grandfather I need for 3 amazing grandchildren. If I could take my wife on a holiday, I'm going to do that anyways, but I'm not done. I love my community. I believe in it. Of course, long before politics, I was in business here for a long time. And this is really how you say thank you. One, to my family, my wife Kathy, for supporting me, my kids for me not being there for all their events, everybody that believed in me in business and gave me the opportunity to work for them. And one time I probably had 80% of the businesses in Durham region that we were supplying services to, and with me and my partner at the time. And then my teachers, being a teacher as you are, I am the result of the people that never gave up on me. I was a terrible student in high school. I didn't do very well till I got to college, but they never gave up on me. And I hope they see that their efforts, I've been able to pay that back. Every coach that put me on the cross field or on the ice to play hockey knew they would get the absolute best of a C+ player, but I was no better than a C+ player. But they knew that I would do it all. I would give the best I could at that time. This is really how I say thank you. So I don't know where my future is going to be. I know there's opportunities in my hometown right now. If I choose to do something, who knows? I've got till August to make my mind up.
Anyone who Googles you on the internet and sees the Wikipedia page about your life before politics and even before business, as we've talked about before, you were some sort of heavy-duty firefighter and all these different exciting tasks that you had.
I've been really lucky. I've got to do a lot of things in my life. I think my best job's being a grandfather and a husband.
I'm with you on that one. I like it too. So, John, thank you so much for taking time and enduring through our technical challenges. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to edit this, but we'll get it figured out and we'll get it out there. And I sure appreciate you taking the time to meet me here at Exit 425. How can people learn more about Durham Region?
Just go to the region's website or watch your podcast. There's lots to know. And in the meantime, it's the long weekend here. Find something to do with your family, and don't forget our farmers grow the best food in the country, and that will all start to come online soon. So I will see you on the off ramp at 425 on another day.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thanks, John. I appreciate this time.